So what's it going to be? Will you keep feeding the weak version of yourself, or will you kill it, step up, and start becoming who you were meant to be? There's a battle happening right now, a battle between who you are and who you could be. And the only way to win is to eliminate the part of you that keeps holding you back. The part that makes excuses, the part that chooses distraction over discipline, the part that avoids discomfort and justifies mediocrity. That version of you, it needs to go. Discipline is not about feeling good. It's about showing up when you don't feel like it. The weak version of you waits for motivation. The strong version builds momentum. You don't become unstoppable by accident. You do it by making a decision every single day to kill the weakness inside you. Because every time you give in to comfort, you reinforce weakness. Every time you procrastinate, you surrender power. Every time you say, I'll do it later, you let the weaker version of yourself win. But if you want something more, if you want to become someone better, then you need to make a decision. You need to stop negotiating with the voice in your head that tells you to quit. You need to stop waiting for the perfect moment to start. You need to push past the discomfort and show up even when it's hard. When you embrace discomfort, you grow. When you stop making excuses, you take control. When you commit to the process, you become the person you were meant to be. And that's the difference between staying the same and becoming exceptional. The mind seeks comfort because comfort feels safe, but safety is often an illusion. The avoidance of discomfort does not protect you, it imprisons you in a cycle of stagnation, where every unchallenged fear grows stronger and every avoided challenge becomes more intimidating. The more you give in to weakness, the more it controls you, dictating what you can and cannot do, shaping a reality in which you believe you are incapable of more. But this belief is a lie, one that can only be dismantled by confronting it directly, by doing the very things your weakness tells you are impossible. Your weakness is not an inevitability but a decision, one that is made in the small moments when discomfort arises and resistance feels too great. It is the result of choosing temporary ease over long-term growth, of surrendering to the voice that says, not today, instead of silencing it with action. Weakness is not forced upon you, it is cultivated through repetition, through patterns of avoidance and justification that over time become ingrained in your identity, shaping the way you perceive yourself and the world around you. Weakness whispers in moments of hesitation, convincing you that it is better to wait, that tomorrow will be the right time, that you need more energy, more confidence, more clarity before you take action. But strength is not built in the waiting, it is built in the doing, in the refusal to entertain the thoughts that keep you from progress. Every time you push through resistance, every time you act despite doubt, every time you refuse to indulge in the comforts that keep you small, you weaken the hold that fear has over you and reclaim a piece of your potential. The problem is not that weakness exists, it always will, but that it is entertained, that it is given space to dictate your choices. It is fed by your habits, your thoughts, and the standards you set for yourself. The more you tolerate mediocrity, the more it becomes your norm. And once it becomes your norm, you start justifying it, convincing yourself that you are doing enough when deep down, you know you are not pushing yourself to the edge of your capability. Weakness thrives in these justifications, in the small negotiations where you allow yourself to fall short of what you are capable of. Every excuse strengthens weakness, reinforcing the belief that effort is too demanding, that change is too difficult, that success is reserved for those with better circumstances. The reality is that every person who has built strength physically, mentally, or emotionally has had to confront the same doubts, the same obstacles, the same moments of hesitation. The difference is that they made a different choice. They did not allow their weakness to define them because they understood that power is reclaimed through action, through the refusal to surrender to self-imposed limitations. The choice is yours. If you continue to choose weakness, life will reflect that choice back to you in the form of missed opportunities, unfulfilled potential, and a lingering sense of regret. Weakness does not simply stay contained, it spreads, infecting every aspect of your life, shaping your relationships, your ambitions, your self-perception. It makes you passive in the face of adversity, reliant on external validation, afraid to step outside the boundaries of what is familiar. It keeps you locked in a cycle of mediocrity where progress is fleeting and frustration becomes a constant companion. No one is born disciplined. No one is born resilient. No one is born strong. These traits are developed through intentional effort, through the repeated act of choosing challenge over comfort. Strength is a practice, a habit, a mindset that is forged in the fire of discipline. Every time you resist the pull of laziness, every time you say no to distractions, every time you step into discomfort, you sharpen your ability to control yourself, to dictate your actions, rather than be ruled by fleeting impulses. Strength is not a gift, it is earned through the relentless pursuit of self-mastery. On the other hand, when you choose strength, the world changes. You start to realize that the limits you once believed in were nothing more than illusions, that your capacity for growth is far greater than you imagined. Strength gives you freedom, the freedom to take control of your life, to shape your circumstances rather than be shaped by them, to move through the world with confidence instead of fear. It allows you to trust yourself, to know that no matter what challenges arise, you have the resilience to face them head on. No one can make this decision for you. No one can force you to break the patterns that keep you stagnant. No one can push you past your limits except for you. The choice to be strong, to be disciplined, to be better is a personal one. And it is the only choice that leads to transformation. Waiting for the right moment, waiting for motivation, waiting for life to make the decision for you, is the surest way to stay exactly where you are. Strength is not found in waiting. It is found in action, in choosing every day to rise above a version of yourself that is content with less. The weak version of you will always exist as long as you give it space to thrive, as long as you listen to its excuses, as long as you allow it to dictate your behavior. But the moment you decide that weakness is no longer an option, that mediocrity is unacceptable, that you will no longer negotiate with your own potential, everything changes. You begin to move with purpose, to operate with a standard that demands excellence, to push beyond what you once thought possible. And in that process, the weak version of you begins to fade, replaced by a person who refuses to be ruled by anything other than their own strength. Every day presents a choice. Do you take the easy path, the path that offers comfort but no growth, security but no fulfillment, ease but no evolution? Or do you take the path of resistance, the path that demands more but gives more in return? Weakness will always argue for the first path, but strength is built by choosing the second, by stepping into the discomfort that forces you to grow. The choice is not made once. It is made repeatedly in every decision, in every moment where effort is required and resistance is present. The only way to kill weakness is to starve it, to stop feeding it with hesitation, doubt, and avoidance. Every decision, every action, every step taken in defiance of weakness strengthens the version of you that is capable of more. It is not about being perfect. It is about being relentless, about refusing to settle, about making the conscious choice every day to build a version of yourself that is unshakable in the face of adversity, relentless in the pursuit of growth, and unwilling to accept anything less than what you are truly capable of becoming. Excuses are the most deceptive form of self-sabotage, masking themselves as justifications, rational explanations, and even self-care. They creep in during moments of hesitation, whispering that conditions aren't right, that you're tired, that tomorrow will be a better day to start. But the truth is, excuses are simply a way to delay discomfort, to avoid confronting the reality that progress requires sacrifice. They provide temporary relief, a way to convince yourself that inaction is justified, but in doing so, they rob you of momentum, discipline, and ultimately the life you could have built if you had simply acted. Every time you allow an excuse to dictate your actions, you reinforce a pattern of avoidance. The more you validate your reasons for not pushing forward, the more they become ingrained as truths. Before long, you begin to believe that you're someone who just isn't good at discipline, consistency, or perseverance. But these are not traits you are born with or without. They are decisions you make every day. The people who succeed are not those who never feel resistance. They are simply the ones who refuse to listen to the excuses that try to hold them back. Challenging your excuses means holding yourself to a higher standard, refusing to accept mediocrity in any area of your life. It means recognizing when you are allowing comfort to take precedence over growth, when you are choosing short-term ease over long-term success. It requires ruthless self-honesty, the ability to identify when you are giving yourself an out instead of pushing yourself forward. And it means eliminating the mindset that says obstacles are reasons to stop rather than problems to solve. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent, luck, or intelligence. It is the refusal to let excuses win. Most excuses are built on a foundation of fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. It is easier to say, I don't have enough time, than to admit, I'm afraid I won't succeed. It is more comfortable to blame circumstances than to take full responsibility for your choices. But every time you confront an excuse, dissect it, and strip it of its false logic, you expose the fear underneath. And once that fear is recognized, it loses its power, because fear, like all emotions, can be managed, controlled, and even used as fuel for action. Excuses thrive in ambiguity. They flourish in the space where goals are vague, timelines are uncertain, and accountability is non-existent. When you leave room for negotiation, excuses step in and take control. They convince you that resting is more important than effort, that waiting for motivation is more logical than acting without it. But motivation is fleeting, unreliable, and often only appears after action has already begun. Those who accomplish great things do not wait to feel ready, they act, despite their feelings, knowing that action itself creates the very momentum they need. The mind will always try to justify inaction because inaction is safe. There is no risk in staying where you are, no discomfort in maintaining the status quo. But there is also no growth, no progress, no fulfillment. Excuses keep you in the same place, repeating the same cycles, wondering why nothing changes. And the longer you entertain them, the harder they are to break. Every day that you let an excuse stop you is another day of reinforcing the habit of quitting before you've even begun. The only way to break that cycle is to disrupt it with action.